Have you ever found yourself questioning someone's loyalty? The subtle moments, the odd behaviors, the lingering feeling that something just doesn't add up. What if you could spot the signs before it's too late? What if you could protect your peace and dignity by reading between the lines? Get to know 11 secret signs. She has multiple partners by watching today's video. Observed through the lens of Stoic philosophy, these subtle but illuminating behaviors have their roots in psychology. You should remain put because this is about more than just relationships. It's also about understanding human nature, safeguarding your mental health, and reclaiming your life. Before we go in, I just wanted to remind you to subscribe and like the channel. This helps us grow and ensures that you will never turn down a chance to learn in advance. Viewing the full film can give you life-changing insights that change your love life forever. The two of you have been going on these adventures together for quite some time, familiar with each other briefly. Everything appears to be going swimmingly from the outside. Exciting dates, fruitful conversations, and just the right amount of mystery to keep things fascinating. Nevertheless, small cracks start to appear. There has been a noticeable change in her manner. Her explanations don't make sense, and she seems distracted all the time. You make an effort to ignore it at first, telling yourself that it doesn't matter. But you can't turn a blind eye to the warning signs your gut is giving you. Here's where most men fall short. They talk themselves into continuing to be comfortable, despite the red flags. But you know, here, we will provide a brief overview of what you should search for, why Stoicism matters here. Since we have covered the background, we can go on to the list. You have power over your mind, not outside events, said Marcus Aurelius, a famous Stoic philosopher. In relationships, it's the same story. You'll find strength when you do. Your reaction is entirely up to you. No one can force you to do what you want. Understanding these signs should lead to clarity, not suspicion or blame. Realization allows you to make decisions, rooted in self-respect rather than in desperation. 11 secret signs. She has multiple partners. 1. Her phone is always off limits. The first thing we should do is discuss something that you may have experienced or thought about. You're having a great time when you're with her. The world appears to be in utter harmony. Suddenly, her phone starts buzzing on the table. She doesn't waste a second before grabbing it, turning it over and clutching it hard. A hint of unease hangs in the air. It's not too obvious, but it's there. You can't help but wonder why she feels the sudden need to hide her phone from you, even when she casually says things like, "Oh, it's nothing," or "just a work thing." I get it. Maybe someone has informed you that privacy is important and you've convinced yourself that you're overreacting. That makes sense to me. I know what it's like. But hold on a second. Picture yourself wholly honest, forthright and assured about every aspect of your life. How would it make you feel? Are you attempting to conceal anything? Very unlikely. Picture this. You and your partner have been dating for some time and have confided in each other about your deepest desires, darkest secrets, and most embarrassing events. But for some reason, her phone takes on an air of mystery, and she protects it with her life. I don't understand it. There is no reason to keep anything secret between two people who trust each other, particularly when it comes to a phone. However, I think we can all agree that you've experienced that nagging suspicion that prompts you to probe further. Also, I'm not trying to be domineering or invade her personal space. Rather, I'm just curious as to why she feels the urge to be so protective. She's funny when you're not around, but when you are, you'll see her smile and giggle. It's as if her phone is now revered above anything else, and you find yourself asking what is truly happening. Please consider this for a moment. Am I the only one who has experienced this? Have you ever found yourself in a scenario where you were unable to remove the nagging sensation that her phone was off limits? Many others have felt the same way. There are a few red flags, but this is one of them. The most crucial aspect, though, is that we are not espionaging on her or making accusations against her. Having a thorough grasp of the situation is key. Following the advice of the Stoics, if anything doesn't seem right, it's time to pay closer attention and investigate further. You have control over your mind, not outside events. It's not about controlling her phone or what she does. It's about getting control over your own response to the issue. This is something Marcus Aurelius often emphasized. Upon noticing this, Take immediate steps to safeguard your own emotional and mental well-being. 2. Inconsistent stories. Return with me to a moment when your relationship appeared to be going swimmingly. The two of you would share the details of your day, and she would do the same. However, things began to feel a bit turned off. There will be days when she claims she went out to a pub with pals, and then there will be nights when she claims she stayed in and watched an entire TV series. In the beginning, you didn't give it much thought. However, its recurrence was subsequent. Time and again, conflicting narratives that failed to converge. Is this place familiar to you? Don't freak out. Paying close attention to detail is exactly what any reasonable person would do. Everyone knows that plans might change at the last minute, or that tiny details can slip someone's mind. However, a new narrative can emerge when the discrepancies start to take shape as a pattern. It would be easy to ignore these things. Believe me, could it be because she's exhausted or simply overloaded? Yet let us delve farther. Take a moment to reflect about your connections from the past. How often have you been exposed for lying? Whether it was a little white lie or something more serious? What were your emotions when you learned the truth? It isn't pleasant, is it? It starts with self-doubt and progresses to distrust of the person you trusted. If someone tells you conflicting tales, the same thing will happen. At first, you could disregard it because you want to think the best in them. But as the contradictions mount, you start to feel like you're being sucked into a web of lies. It's not just about the facts, it's about how it makes you feel. Take a moment to reflect on your relationship right now. Has there ever been a time when her tales didn't go together? Perhaps she initially mentioned meeting a friend, but then changed her mind. This can be an indication that she is attempting to conceal a more profound truth. It's not about being suspicious. It's about noticing the subtle cues that disclose the truth, even when she isn't prepared to share them. Living a life of mastery over one's perceptions is the central lesson of the Stoics. The truth that you understand, to be true from your own experiences and reasoning, has great influence. When the discrepancies mount, it's crucial to listen to your gut. 3. She avoids labels. You've been seeing this woman for a while now, and so far so good. There have been profound discussions, unforgettable experiences, and even the chance to meet each other's friends. But there is one question about which you never seem to receive a satisfactory response. What are we? You bring it up in passing, perhaps while you're in the midst of something lighthearted, in an effort to keep the mood casual. However, she manages to evade the question every time. Things get complicated when she dismisses it, or even worse, says things like, "Let's not label it," or "I don't like to define things too early." Okay, maybe she just wants to take things slow, you might think at first. And that's totally a valid point. Everyone needs a little more time. But surely there must be an epiphany after a few months of dating. Consider your previous romantic partnerships. Did you ever experience times when everything was going swimmingly, but you couldn't shake the question of who you were to each other? You may have tried to avoid answering the question at first, so that you could fully appreciate the occasion, but you had to give in. You can't tell where you stand without labeling. You can't give your all to a relationship when you have no idea what your position is. Picture this. You've put a lot of yourself into someone for months, both emotionally and physically, but they still won't define your relationship. It's similar to being blindfolded. The path ahead is invisible to you. Is your relationship with her her future, or are you merely someone to kill time with? Take a moment to think about this. Has something similar ever happened to you? Have you ever found yourself in a scenario where the labels were ambiguous? Were you left to wonder if she saw you as more than simply a choice, or if she actually cared about you? The crippling terror of being caught in a limbo is real. The reality, though, is that if a partner is evasive when you ask them to define the relationship, it could be because they aren't ready to commit or are seeking other opportunities. But you shouldn't let this deter you. Look at it this way instead, a chance to learn. Consider your wants, your limits, and your expectations at this time. Refuse to accept ambiguity and insist on understanding. The insight of the Stoics is applicable here. You are free to make decisions, and personal development comes from facing unpleasant realities head-on. Do any of these symptoms sound familiar to you? How did you handle confronting them? Did you choose to let things go? Leave a comment with your story. I'm interested in hearing about your life's relationship, experiences, and how you handled them. Or She's always busy when you want to meet. Have you ever wanted to spend time with someone, but no matter how much you attempt to arrange it, they always say they're too busy? At first glance, it could appear to be a mere coincidence. Our schedules are jam-packed, aren't they? However, after a while, an uneasy feeling sets in. The justifications become less convincing as she is never accessible when you need her. Oh, I'm busy with work. I'm enjoying time with family. Or I have plans with friends, the same excuses over and over again. Yes, I'm sure you've been here before. Things continuously seem to spring up on her end when you're trying to set up a date, or even just casual plans. So there's this never-ending back and forth. You might assume she's extremely busy the first few times and give her a pass. Life isn't always easy, as we all know. But why is she always so free when it affects other people? When someone else gets in the way, why is it always you? Put yourself in her shoes. You want to spend time with her, and you strive to arrange things out, but she never makes it a priority. It hurts a bit, doesn't it? If she doesn't make time for you, you could start to feel like you don't matter. And you know, deep down, that she's choosing other people's needs before her own. It's conceivable that you've experienced occasions when you questioned your worthiness. Now consider this. Everyone finds time for the things that are genuinely important to them. She would make time in her demanding schedule to spend with you if she actually want to do so. People that are genuinely committed to their relationships don't allow small matters to break their meaningful bonds. Take a deep breath and evaluate all the work she's putting in. If you've been having these sensations recently, is it always you who initiates contact? On the other hand, is she attempting to win you over? That person may not highly regard you if they consistently choose other things above spending time with you. I know it's hard to believe. Remember to hold on to your self-esteem as well. The most important thing is to value yourself and focus on relationships that bring you joy. Have you ever felt how it feels to be passed over in favor of something or someone else? Share your story in the comment section. Give me the lowdown on how you handled it, and if it contributed to your development as a person. The experience is universal. 5. Her friends are overly protective of her. Despite its seeming insignificance, you should take this one into consideration. Those friends of hers who you once met and thought seemed to be slightly too careful. Maybe while you were in her presence, her friends and family displayed an air of disinterest, or worse, tried to overshadow you whenever you spoke. Maybe even they treated you with disdain, as if deciding whether you were worthy of her notice, and kept quiet around you. Her friends simply care about her. It's no big deal. I understand. I would have to agree with you to some extent. Among friends, there should be concern for one another. However, doubts emerge when her buddies constantly gussy you up, making you feel unwelcome and out of place. Why are they being so protective? Would they prefer to keep some information from you that they have access to? Is it more probable that they are trying to protect her from something that's about to happen? Although it's difficult to contemplate, there are times when her friends may notice something that we, the emotionally invested party, fail to grasp. Imagine the social awkwardness of having her friends literally guarding her, watching her every move to make sure you didn't hurt her. Whenever you were having a chat with her, have you ever felt undesired or interrupted by her friends? Other details to the story may exist, it appears. How do you proceed if you feel her inner circle is not fully embracing you? The answer is simple. Stop trying to win them over. Instead, focus on what really matters, the bond you share with her. If you have to constantly walk around her friends to see her, is this relationship really as honest and open as it seems? Rather than competing or playing games with friends, true love is creating space for each other to be ourselves. 6. She changes the subject when you talk about the future. Future plans inevitably come up in any couple's conversation, regardless of how long they've been dating. Whether it's a long-term strategy for shared housing or just your next vacation, it might be anything. However, she either completely disregards or quickly shifts the topic of the conversation. Have you ever come across stuff like that? When you start a conversation by asking a simple question like, "Where do you see us in a year?" Or by sharing your goals and dreams, she will change the subject to something less intimate, like a TV show you both watched recently, or an upcoming life achievement. She doesn't appear interested in talking about your future ambitions at all. Given her reluctance to bring it up, one may wonder why. You are, in her view, fundamental to her destiny. To take a step back and remember how it felt. Picture yourself and your ex-lover having a conversation about your future. Were there a lot of positive emotions and shared objectives? Or was it so difficult that you didn't dare bring up the subject of seriousness with your partner? Warning signals start to show up now. When people are unsure of your role in the future, they avoid talking about it. I won't say this always applies, but it's worth considering. Future preparations are something that people who care about each other really anticipate. They are thrilled to discuss with you the details of their joint future because you will have a role in it. But her persistent evasion of these topics can mean she isn't as committed as you are. Give your relationship another look. Has she avoided talking about her future plans? How does that make you feel? Have you ever questioned whether she truly appreciated you? That she is emotionally aloof and unready to commit could be hinted at by her subtle avoidance. Having said that, it shouldn't be disastrous. Evaluate your current hopes and dreams and determine if they align with her plans for the future. 7. You feel like you're competing for her attention. This is among the most challenging things to accept, so please give it a lot of consideration. When it comes to her interests, her friends, or even her own company, has it ever felt like you're always competing for her attention? Always there's that pesky feeling that you're falling short, no matter how much effort you put in. It's like you're always trying to prove your worth, but she never really gets it. I know the sensation. You know, like when you text a lady and she doesn't respond for hours. Alternatively, when she posts a photo to social media and you wonder, who's liking her photos? Shortly after, look who's interjecting with her stories. It drains my energy. In addition, you start to wonder if someone else is getting the care and attention you crave. Nevertheless, allow me to take a brief stop. You know that feeling you get when you try and attempt to win her approval, but you never seem to be able to? Maybe she has other things on her mind, or maybe she's more interested in someone else than you are. What feelings does that bring up for you? Doesn't it wear you down? But is this the kind of relationship you're hoping for? Do you find yourself in a relationship where you constantly find yourself competing for her attention? Listen, people shouldn't try to outdo one another in partnerships. When you feel like you're always fighting for her affection, it's clear that your relationship is out of whack. Prioritizing respect, trust, and shared investment over bragging or competing with others is paramount. Has this ever happened to you in a relationship? Feel free to share your story of overcoming competitiveness in the comments section. Being in the company of someone we love might enhance our strength and intelligence. 8. She avoids conversations about her exes. As part of getting to know someone, it is common to inquire about their background, especially that of an ex. Inquire about their travels, past relationships, and how those relationships were shaped by their surroundings. If you bring up her background, though, what if she gets defensive or changes the subject suddenly? Are you familiar with the location? Defensiveness, awkward silence, and an overall unwillingness to talk about her previous relationships, all red flags. Everyone avoids discussing their pasts for different reasons. But if someone is actively trying to keep their past relationships out of conversation, it could mean they haven't moved on or that they have strong feelings for someone else. Keep in mind the events that have transpired in your life. Is it common for people in relationships to keep their problems hidden from you? How did you feel when you were in need of answers but couldn't locate any? It can feel like there's this wall between you and a real relationship with them at times. You could be wondering, if you've noticed this pattern, what are they actually trying to hide? For what reasons are they hesitant to share their past with you? 9. She's secretive about her social media activity. Seriously though, social media has completely revolutionized the way we communicate and interact with people all over the world, hasn't it? Is there a time when one partner in a relationship was very private about their online activities? Maybe you glanced over her shoulder and caught a glimpse of her feed scrolling, but she quickly swiped away from the screen. Perhaps you've also noticed that her articles focus on providing well-crafted, broad updates rather than any personal stuff like photographs of you. I don't see why someone would be so bashful about something that everyone can see. Her total disengagement suggests that something is being hidden, even though social media is supposed to be a place for sharing personal experiences with others. Who is she really chatting with on the internet? And why won't she tell me what's really happening behind the scenes? are legitimate questions that may start to cross your mind. It's annoying, isn't it? Being totally forthright with one another is a hallmark of a perfect relationship. Having her social media accounts protected like Fort Knox makes it hard to not feel left out. Are you oblivious to everything? Her persistent attempts to conceal her online presence may suggest that she is engaging in flirtatious or chatty behavior with another person. Expressing that feeling is crucial. 10. She's always giving you mixed signals. How often has a partner's contradictory behavior left you bewildered? Her affection and concern for you swings wildly from one moment to the next. The relationship between these two factors is not always easy to understand. Does she have feelings for you? You begin to question. Must have been a familiar place for you. Maybe she's really communicative one week and very silent the next. Her unpredictable behavior makes you question her true emotions. No matter how close you get, she always runs away. But the second you pull off, she'll want you to get closer again. It might be exhausting to go through such a broad spectrum of emotions. To rub salt in the wound, consider how ridiculous it is. Consistency in behavior is an indicator of a loving individual. She may be preoccupied with other people and unsure of where to focus her attention if they are attempting to convey conflicting messages to you. Her behavior is characterized by a lack of self-awareness as she uses you as a pawn in her pursuits. Take a mental trip back to a time when you were going through the same emotional roller coaster with a partner. In what ways did it impact you? Did you have open and honest chats? Or did you have trouble understanding what she was trying to say? If you have become stuck in this confusing cycle, maybe it's time to step back and get to the bottom of things. 11. You catch her lying or being inconsistent. This is a difficult pill to swallow. Truthfulness at the beginning of a relationship is crucial, as everyone is aware. But what should you do if you discover that she is lying? Maybe she told you she was going somewhere, but it was really just to meet up with someone else. But her actions speak louder than her words. When you found out someone was lying to you, did it ever cause you to lose faith in them? When it comes to relationship disasters, trust is among the most difficult to recover from because it is so readily broken and repaired. Staying on top of one's game in multiple relationships requires constant vigilance, even if it involves telling fibs to protect other relationships. If you have caught her lying, you should stop ignoring her. The issue needs our immediate attention. Perhaps this indicates that her commitment to you isn't as strong as you thought. The foundation of every relationship is trust, and lying erodes it. Think of times when you were tricked. You likely learned a lot about both of you from it. But how did it influence your relationship in particular? How to handle the truth like a Stoic. After we see the signs, what do we do next? Keeping one's cool is essential. Let us not waste time arguing about what a good man should be like. Marcus Aurelius has already done it. Join us. If you notice these signs, try not to get upset or accusatory with her. Try to understand instead. The first question you should ask yourself when dating is, what am I looking for? Does this fit in with my values and the things I stand for? Remember that taking a step back doesn't indicate you're weak. It signifies that you are valuable. Why growth is uncomfortable but necessary. Facing these realities may force you to examine not just her, but also yourself, and it may be difficult. The cautions should have been more prominent in your mind. For what reason did you settle for less than what was truly yours? But transformation occurs right in the middle of this suffering. The first step in becoming a man of high value is realizing and claiming your own worth in every aspect of life. Are you ready to step up and lead at this moment? To prioritize your peace and dignity over transient connections? Act without delay. Listen to your intuition and follow your values when you are aware of the situation. Before you go, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We can't thank you enough for your support. It enables us to continue sharing Stoic knowledge and practical insights with you. Having said that, I'll see you later, and thank you for checking in.